He's even got some subtle pencil markings on him. Welcome back to How Many Tries, a content free time show where we look at 3D models in video games. Today we're taking a look at Goku from the Dragon Ball franchise, starting out with his model from Dragon Ball Z Budokai, released for the PS2 in 2002. This wasn't the first 3D Dragon Ball game. I believe that title goes to Dragon Ball GT Final Bout for the PlayStation 1, released in 1997, but it's probably the first one that most Dragon Ball fans will recognize. Even in one of his very first 3D appearances, I think they did an excellent job of translating this character design to 3D. This model just looked so good at the time. Even now, I think it holds up really well. He's got those iconic Akira Toriyama eyes. He's even got some subtle pencil markings on him, like he would in the anime or manga. It looks really good. This model from Budokai 1 is 5,252 tries. I like pretty much everything about this model. The way it's sculpted, the colors, the shading. I remember when this game came out on the GameCube a year after it came out on the PS2, they made a big deal about how the GameCube version of the game was cel shaded. You can see how, like, on his arm here in particular, the difference between the light part of his arm and the dark part of his arm is a lot harsher. More like how it might be drawn in the anime or the manga, compared to this softer shading from the PS2 version. Personally, I think they both look pretty good. I can see the appeal of either version. I think it's kind of neat that we even have two versions of this game with different shaders to compare. His hair is so black in this game that it literally disappears when you turn on flat shading. Anyway, I could ramble on about this model all day, so let's move along here. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2, released a year after Budokai 1 in 2003. He's noticeably a lot blockier in this game. Also a lot more comic book-y. They added a lot more pencil markings on this one. You can see all these ink marks are like built into his clothes now. Also, the model itself is a bit of a downgrade. We went from 5,200 tries to just over 3,100 tries. I imagine that was for performance reasons. I would guess with some of the new gameplay elements they added in Budokai 2 and all the new characters, they might have had to tone down the models a bit for some reason. Goku's had a number of different costumes over the years, so I won't bother going into the costume changes like the removal of his logo from his gi, or the straps of his belt no longer hanging down, or the line in his boots changing from yellow to red. It's cool that those changes from the anime were reflected in the games, but I don't think it really impacts the quality of the 3D models. Even though this might look a little closer to the anime or the manga, I think I prefer the original Budokai model. I think the grayness in his hair now looks kind of silly. I preferred that pitch black hair. Like I said, the model itself was a lot more detailed in Budokai 1. Let's move on to the next game. I'm sorry, but I only have the Kid Goku model from Budokai 3, released a year after Budokai 2 in 2004. It's a really good looking model, though with the lack of detail in some of these textures, you can definitely still tell this was a PS2 game. I like what they did with the hair. I feel like it's a good in-between compared to these first two models. The model itself is 2,751 tries, but again, we are comparing apples to oranges here, so let's move on to the next game. Battle Stadium Down, released 2 years after Budokai 3 in 2006. If you've never heard of this game, that's because it was a Japanese exclusive, starring Goku, Naruto, and Luffy from One Piece. I think this model looks pretty good. Similar in style to the Budokai 3 models. The model itself is actually the lowest polygon count we've gotten so far, 2,624 tries. But despite that, pretty solid model. I suppose it does look a little bit off. You can tell this wasn't developed by Dimps, the same guys who developed the Budokai trilogy. Something about his face just looks kind of off, but overall, not too bad. Next we have Shin Budokai Another Road, released for the PSP in 2007. It still amazes me how good the graphics were on the PSP compared to the Nintendo DS at the time. For a handheld game from 2007, this looks so good. 1,469 tries, which again is a huge amount for a portable game at the time. His gi is noticeably redder this time around, but other than that, no major changes other than just being a lower polygon count. I do kind of like how they have that one little strand of hair sticking out there. It's a nice little touch. Next we have everyone's favorite Dragon Ball game, Dragon Ball Evolution, based on the live-action movie by the same name, released in 2009. This is a fine adaptation of the movie itself, but Just what were they thinking? 1,498 tries. Next we have Dragon Ball Online, the Asia exclusive game, initially released in 2010. The Kid Goku model looks really good. Compared to that one from Budokai 3, I think I prefer this one. The Budokai 3 model had more realistic proportions, but this one's kind of more playful, more expressive. I don't know, looking at him up close, I guess he is kind of derpy looking, but I don't know, I kind of like him. This model is 2,290 tries. The adult Goku one, on the other hand, something about this model doesn't sit right with me. I think the neck looks kind of funny. I even prefer the PSP model to this one from Shin Budokai. I think it's the body proportions. You can see his chest is up a lot higher where it should be in Shin Budokai. His shoulders are a lot higher. This guy kind of looks like he's slouching a bit of a lazy posture. Same thing when you compare it to the Battle Stadium Dawn model or the original Budokai models. Not my favorite. Plus, it's only 2,400 tries. This was an MMO, meaning they had to be able to handle dozens of characters on screen at a time, so I'll give it a little bit of slack for that. And I guess from the back it looks pretty good, but it's certainly not my favorite. Also, his muscles look a little too small. Look at how thin his arms are compared to these original muscles. Lastly, we have Dragon Ball FighterZ, or FighterZ, released in 2018. I'm sorry, I only have the chibi model from this game. The full high polygon models from this game must be too hard to rip or something. I haven't been able to find them. This one's 2,523 tries. For a chibi model, looks pretty good. Can't complain. I apologize again for not having any of the Tenkaichi or Raging Blast models or anything like that, but out of the ones we have here, I gotta give it to the original Budokai model. That's my favorite out of all of these. But what's yours? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know who you'd like to see one of these videos on next. Normally I talk about Sonic characters, but you want me to do more anime? If you want to chat with me and some other cool people about video games, feel free to join the Discord linked in the video description. And as always, thanks for watching.